Hello YouTube, my name is Chef Chris and this is my buddy Phil.
Chef Phil, hi.
We're coming to you from my tiny little kitchen, working on some videos. So today I'm going to finish up my how to clean ugly fish video. And this is the actual package that I got. You can see it's $5 and yeah, you'll see later why it's $5. This would be a utility kitchen knife. It's one of my favorites to doing small work. I'm not going to use my 10 or 12 inch slicer to fillet single pieces of fish. So I'm going to show you how to turn this kind of not so great looking fish into something delicious. First thing we want to do is we're going to carefully open these one at a time. And we can kind of just let it sit in the sink, let that fish juice drain. Don't take it out of the cryo. This plastic is called cryovac because you're vacuum sealing pretty much the product that you got there. And take our fish and kind of give it a nice little, not a ring, but squeeze it slightly, not too much. You don't want to ruin the flesh. Press it a little bit, get some of that excess water out. This is a tail piece. This is what is considered a tail piece. And if you look at this end, this is where the salmon would have its, its tail fin. Right off this edge. Alright, so I'm doing a tail piece and I'm also doing a head piece. And every piece in between is going to be a centerpiece fillet. So again, not such great looking salmon, and it's got the skin on. I'll show you how to cut this up and we'll be able to use it. Always check for bones, even if it's advertised as boneless. I mean, there's no way to mechanically get these bones out and human error happens. So always kind of just run your finger against the grain of the flesh. This is pretty beat up, but you can still see what I'm doing. Right here and here, and that's where all the pin bones will be. You can see that they've kind of mangled this trying to get those pin bones out. So now we're going to put it in our bowl, flesh side against the paper towel. These things are packed with water when they're frozen, so you're not going to dry the fish out by drying the fish out. When you do this, try to have a bowl or something to put your finished pieces in, and then I'm going to use this bowl that I have the fish in to put the scraps and the stuff that I don't want in. Alright, back to our piece of salmon here. This is the shoulder piece, or so if you wanted to think about it, the head of the salmon would be here, and this is the collar piece. That's what it's called, the collar piece. And so now, the best way to do this is to kind of take your finger, and you can see along the top here, there's a little kind of area where you can divide the fish from the skin, the flesh from the skin. So you just want to do that, and that makes a good starting point on how to fillet it. But actually, we're going to use that as an ending point, and we're going to start from the belly. We're going to make one kind of incision down to the skin, leaving the skin on, and now we can put our thumb here. And we're starting from this end because this is the smaller end. If we were to start from this end, it would be a bit more difficult. Always finish on the big end. So now we're going to kind of move our knife, keeping it at that 30-degree angle. This is going to be a little bit tougher than the tail piece. And you're going to kind of pull the skin back. With this hand, you're pulling while you're sawing gently and not forcing with your right hand, your dominant hand. And if you can see, I'm barely holding the knife here. I'm just running it along the side. And you can kind of feel if it's messing up and you're gouging too much fish. If that happens, just move your knife back, angle a little bit deeper, and then keep going. And now we got that all taken care of. You can see the skin, very little bit of flesh on there. And this side, we still have all that dark meat. So that's going to go away. And we're going to clean this up. We're going to get rid of that little piece. And then this doesn't look too bad. So we're going to just make a quick little V-cut here. So we got that. We're going to take our knife, put it under the V, and then just move it from one side to the other side. Now we got just the nice pink fleshy fish of the salmon. Again, this piece of fish is looking pretty rough. They did not take good care of this when they processed it, when they took the bones out. You can drag your knife sharp side down over top, and you can see I'm just taking off just a little bit, so you got some undesirable flesh. It's a quick way to get it off without ruining or gouging it. So this, I don't want to eat this part right here. I'm just going to put my knife in. We're not cutting through, we're just making that little angle cut right there. That's all we're doing. And this will actually help, if you leave that flesh on, it'll help when we go to fillet it. So now, I'm going to try to do this without getting too much in the way. We're going to take this piece of fish, and it's very important to angle it the way you want to cut it. Whatever is comfortable for you. This is it's a more difficult technique. So we want our knife, we're going to go at about a 30-degree angle, and we're going to slowly saw in a starting point. Now you can see there's kind of like what we call a butterfly cut right at the tip there. So this side is open, and you can see I've got the skin right on the cutting board here, and I've got a starting place. So what we're going to do is you're going to take your thumb and put it on this piece that we got. You're going to take your knife at a 30-degree angle, and you're going to run it slightly down the skin of the fish. Now if you got some flesh on the skin, not a big deal. We'll go over that and the reason it's not a big deal here in a second. So when you cut this down, I'm not putting any pressure on. I'm just slowly sawing through, keeping my knife at that angle. As soon as you lift the knife up, just kind of like I did there, you can see more flesh is going onto the skin. And the deeper the angle, the less flesh you'll have on the skin. But that's okay, I kind of want this on there for cleaning purposes later. So now we're going to finish it up, and when you get to the end, don't put more pressure on, just slowly get your knife out. That way you're not going to fling it towards yourself or anything like that. Alright, so we got that piece of skin. We're not going to want it. Oh, and I got a little piece of skin on there, so this is perfect to show you. What we're going to do is we're going to take our knife completely flat. We're going to kind of inch our way underneath that little piece of skin, and then we're going to move our knife, angling it up against the skin itself. That way when you cut it, all the skin is released from the flesh, and you have all your flesh intact and your little piece of skin with no flesh on it. Again, the same way on this other side. Kind of angle your knife up right against that skin and just pull through. We're going to take away that fishiness. This blood meat is what it's called. This darker hue of meat tastes extremely fishy. So if you don't like the fishy taste of fish, I mean, go figure, fish tasting like fish. But if you want a little less of that fishiness, what we're going to do is we're going to make a little V cut right at this bloodline here. And this is a bloodline because there is a little vein that's in this little section here that goes from, you know, top of the fish to the bottom of the fish, and that creates, you know, brown section. So now once you have cut little V's on either side, this is difficult to do because it's such a small piece of fish. Bigger fish makes it easy. If it comes off like that, cool. Now you got your little piece, and just like removing the skin, we're going to run our knife through the top, removing that dark meat. And again, this is beat up fish, so it's hard to show you. But you can see I removed all that dark meat, and now we're just left with the pink flesh of the salmon. So this is going to trash. If you have a cat or a dog, they would love that. And then you can kind of clean up any undesirable pieces that you think you may not want. Got a little bit of brown still here, so we're going to cut that out. You know, just be very careful about your fingers. Make sure your knife is sharp, and you shouldn't have any problems. Also, if you are ever cutting towards yourself, make sure that you're pulling up and not cutting towards your fingers. Don't recommend always cutting towards you, but I want to do it this way so you can have a clear shot of what I'm doing. And I'm gently going through the fish. making sure not to cut through the skin. As you can see, the skin came off, not too much flesh on the skin, nice and clean. Alright, we're going to clean the rest of this blood meat out just by doing a little decut. And there's that. Got a little more down here. And always reposition what you're cutting to make it easy on yourself. Don't try to move yourself into an awkward position. No. Alright, again, we're going to kind of get a starting point here, or a finishing point actually. Let's get this out of the way. Yeah, this is so beat up, oh my gosh. It's almost gross looking. And again, we're just going to make a little incision. We're going to give a little more handhold this time. Last piece was a little slippery. And then again, I'm going to get out of the way so you can see this. Make sure you pull that skin. See, I'm getting kind of caught on the end there. If that happens, just kind of stop. Go to a dry place on your cutting board. It'll kind of suction the fish down there a little bit. And then work on that spot where you got stuck on. Use the tip of your knife, work past it, and then continue using the full length of your knife to slowly go and remove that skin. Pulling and pushing at the same time, slightly sawing. Boom. So skin we're going to discard. We're going to clean off this little bit of meat here. Just like that. So there you go. Now we have nice usable pieces of salmon that actually only cost $2.50. This is half of the package, and this only cost me $5. I mean, you get what you pay for, but if you know how to elevate a product, you can come up with something like this that we can use for, what I'm going to use it for is going to be rice bowls. We're going to dice it up. And I'll show you how to cut it up real quick. When you do this, since it is so beat up, we want to be careful and leave nice huge chunks. Like, we're probably only going to cut this into 6 pieces. That way you still know you're eating fish when you're eating it. And this one, again, probably 6 pieces. We'll cut it into thirds and then right down the middle. You don't even have to cut it. Voila. And that's how you turn ugly beat up fish into usable product.